Ladies and gentlemen, hello, hello.
All right, thanks for tuning in again and joining us this afternoon. Man, we are already on, we must be on game 6 now? 4, 5, game 5. Things are moving quick. We're going to see Ohio take on New York. Ohio having made it through round 1, handily winning over West Virginia. This will be New York's first game, having received the bye in the first round. With me and handling microphone duties today from Ohio, I have Kent the politician. Kent, thank you very much for coming in today. Appreciate that.
Happy to be here.
And from New York, again, we have Mo Cheesemo. Mo, it's good to have you back.
Thrilled to be here, sir.
All right, fantastic. So we're going to go live with Derby here in a few minutes. I'm going to hand that over to you guys. You can do some introductions for these teams.
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
Let's run through the New York roster first. For New York, we have number 13, Lethal Lorelei from Rochester. From the Gotham Girls Roller Derby, number 16, Brazilian Nut. Also from Gotham, number 19, Angry Penguin. Another Gotham skater, number 27, Hater Tot. From Ithaca, the Ithaca League of Women Rollers, we have Cristeria, number 46, and AKT 47. Another Gotham skater, B52, that's Tail Gunner Flo. From Ithaca, 0101, Deb Crush. 187, Morticia Decay, another Ithaca skater. 215, it's Chopstick Murphy from Gotham. 413 from Rochester, Star Spangled Bammer. 929, that's Davey Blockett from Gotham. 987 is Nora Morse from Ithaca. 1706, Misty Maven, another Gothamite. And 2911, Ha Ha Hatchet from Ithaca.
So the Ohio All-Star roster is number 2, Valhalla from the Ohio Roller Girls, number 7, Quiet Storm from the Ohio Roller Girls, number 10, Supersonic, who was the MVP in the first bout for Ohio from Gem City Roller Girls, number 21, Slammerhead from the Ohio Roller Girls, number 30, the Captain Kitten Kicker from Cincinnati, number 41, Nancy Scarrigan from the Northeast Ohio Rock and Roller Girls. Number 43, Wheezy from Cincinnati Roller Girls. 44, Murder Her from Cincinnati Roller Girls. 66, La Bruja from Cincinnati Roller Girls. Number 92 is the other captain, also from Cincinnati Roller Girls. That is Sailor Scary. Number 135, Jazz Hubbard from Cincinnati Roller Girls. Number 303, Hidden Agenda from Burning River Roller Derby. 411, Safanda Drama from Burning River Roller Derby. Number 462, Mary Chaos from Burning River Roller Derby. And our final Ohio skater, number CH002, is Pain Train from Gem City. Ohio is coached by Quad Almighty from Cincinnati and Cal Hell, formerly from Little Steel in Youngstown.
So we had a chance to see New York earlier today. Not New York, rather, but
Ohio.
Mo, tell me what you think. You know the New York team pretty well.
I do. I know I've announced all of these teams at one time or another that make up the New York Coalition team. And, you know, obviously, of course, New York comes with a lot of strong skaters on the table. I caught the very end of the Ohio game. And I got to say, against West Virginia, they looked great. I will be very interested to see how they fare against, well, you know, the team made up of all the teams that I know and love.
Kent, to be political about this, it's only fair that I send this over to the other side of the aisle.
I appreciate that greatly. And I'm sitting to the left of Mo Cheesemo. I think that's important. So Ohio's been at this tournament for 3 years. Last year was a disappointment. The first year we were kind of the darlings of the tournament and finished 4th. The rosters had a little bit of turnover. Of the 14 skaters we're sending out there, 7 are new to the team this year. Now, they're not new to roller derby, but they are new to the All-Stars. So, you know, we've got some experience in this tournament. That first game was very strong, and we are underway. We have a rugby. Yeah, we got Wheezy jamming for Ohio, number 43. She's from Cincinnati.
And who is that from New York?
There we
go. That's Misty Maven.
Yeah, Misty's good at roller derby.
Yes, she is. Flies right out to the front, and she is off to the races here, flying right around.
Yeah, Misty Maven in the Gotham Jammer rotation.
She is.
Taken out there by Valhalla and Sailor Scary. So Valhalla.
And Maven is no stranger to purple. She belongs to the Grand Central Terminators back at home.
3-0 lead.
If I'm not mistaken. Back to the action here. Score at the end of that one, 3 points up for New York, unreturned by Ohio.
Exactly. Right you are, Mo. So Jazz Hubbard will be jamming for Ohio. We've got to ID the jammers as they skate onto the track just from our perch.
If you look, she'll hold up that board. It's going to have their numbers on it. Look, center track.
And out here in a second, who's wearing the star for New York?
Oh, there it is.
To see bodies, I can't
Of course, it's blocked out by the ref. 9:07 for New York. Nora Morse. So it's 9:87.
987.
The whiteboard was not helpful, and we've got a power jam for Ohio as Nora is being sent to the box.
Trying to get through, but
So Jazz Hubbard, a Cincinnati skater, is trying to make her way through the pack, and she does.
Nice hit on her way out of the pack by Angry Penguin of the Bronx Gridlock and Gotham Girls.
So out there in the pack for Ohio, Safanda Drama, Slammer Head, Murder Her, and La Bruja. Trying to support Jazz Hubbard, who is taken down on the inside. Now taken down on the outside of turn 4. Jazz, as you see, trying to come down the front straightaway, and she does. Ohio puts the first points up on the board.
Deb Crush, Angry Penguin working the front of that pack for the ladies in purple right now. And she fights her way past Deb Crush there. That's number 135, Jazz Hubbard.
Yeah, Nora is now out of the penalty box and completes her initial pass. So Jazz has lead jam as she comes into the apex of turn 1, turn 2. We'll see how much. Yep, you hear
Right
God
up the
Almighty.
middle.
And see, that's the Cincinnati relationship there. You heard the Cincinnati coach shout at the Cincinnati Jammer to call it. And that's exactly what Jazz did.
3 more points. And about like this.
So Ohio puts up 12 on that thanks to the power jam.
Yeah, big jump for Ohio here. 9 points over New York as we move into the third jam here.
Lining up for Ohio. She's going up against Ha-Ha Hatchet.
Ha-Ha Hatchet's going to be skating for New York.
Box for Ohio, nobody for
And
New York.
there's an Ohio jammer. That is Supersonic, the Gem City skater, and Supersonic was the MVP for Ohio in the first bout.
Well, she makes it out of the pack just a little ahead of Ha-Ha Hatchet, who follows her. Catches right up with her.
In a 1-to-1 jam.
So 13-4 now, Ohio on top.
Ohio maintaining the lead, however.
Yeah, Supersonic from Gem City is Dayton, Ohio. Waiting for the whiteboard to give us an assistance. 43 is Wheezy, 1706 is Misty Maven, so that is we saw this matchup in the first jam.
First jam. And another scrum start here.
Nobody in the penalty box, both teams with 4 blockers. Sailor Scary goes down, Kitten Kicker.
Oh.
Not able to hold back Misty Maven. Misty Maven is out and is lead jammer.
Followed about halfway behind the track right there. Misty Maven eyeing the back of that pack, all purple in the back as Ohio tries to set the pace.
And I believe a forearm? No, I guess a track cut call on Wheezy. So it is a power jam opportunity for the talented Misty Maven.
And her blockers open in the front of the pack right up for her. She's through for, 4 showing.
And Ohio now has more skaters in the box than on the track, which is not a good thing if you're an Ohio fan, and Misty Maven is wearing the star.
Davey Blockett headed to the box there for New York.
All right, so and Sailor Scary goes, so Nancy Scarrigan, hello, welcome to roller derby. It's you against 3 New York blockers and Misty Maven.
She's waved off of the box there. She's going to have to serve her time later. Misty Maven through for another 5, meanwhile.
Yeah, Sailor Scary, the captain. There is no room in the penalty box, and Misty Maven again is
adroitly avoiding Nancy Scarrigan.
So, Misty Maven's put up 20 points so far, and she obviously continues that scoring run.
Davy Blockett exits the box and re-enters the pack. And completing her first lap there, Wheezy is through, and that's going to force Maven to call it.
All right, so yeah, that's 27 total, I think. Quad Almighty looking for the official review, perhaps on the track cut that sent Wheezy to the box.
Official review, that O is not for Ohio.
Right you are. Okay, so quick stat about New York. They have 24 points. Misty Maven has 23 of them.
Yeah.
And recaps.
That was a big jam, 23 so far, the high jam of the game. We'll see who can beat that.
And the score just went up. I thought it did, but so yeah, it's 28, and Misty Maven has 27 of them.
Just missed a grand slam in there. It happens.
Personally, after this bout, you can get our autograph or tell us how much we suck.
All right, so we've got
Also, there is beer.
an official review at the
I was expecting you guys to cheer for
24-minute,
that.
22-second mark.
Thank you, one.
I believe
Thank
we
you,
can
one person.
sort of begin
Again.
forecasting. So the winner of
Thank
this
you, two people.
contest gets Maryland
You guys,
Saturday
every
at
time
4
I ask
o'clock.
about you,
The
I want to do
loser
it.
will face
Thank
the
you.
loser of the next
For
bout.
my three people that pay
The next
attention.
bout coming up is North Carolina versus
And the
Pennsylvania.
people sitting next to me. Directly
All right,
into a
Pennsylvania
microphone.
also with the bye in this tournament,
That's a tough spot.
has both high seeds and, well, home team advantage here, home court advantage.
All right.
Not quite, but home state
like the
advantage. There we
referees
go.
are
That's the one I
discussing
was looking for.
You got it.
Unlike the NFL.
All right, so Jazz Hubbard is out there. You see the huddle on your screen. You see the huddle of white. That is Ohio. Ohio is wearing white. We probably should have said that at some
We
point.
should have. Yeah, New York is in purple.
So, yeah, there's two teams out there.
Well, there's three if you count Team Zebra.
Right, exactly. They're doing very
There's
well.
no other way Golden State can
They never
win
lose a
nine
game.
games.
Oh, you're right.
don't buy
I've rarely seen them
And
lose.
I'm not saying that because I'm a LeBron.
But Jazz
fan.
Hubbard is out there with Safanda Drama, Slammerhead, and La Bruja. We've got Sailor Scary in the penalty box, so it's a 4-on-3 advantage in the pack for New York.
If we had music, there'd probably be a dance off.
And Ohio's already had some issues with
Does anybody
penalties
wanna
there.
sing?
We saw 4 of their skaters sent to the box
We're gonna take another
simultaneously
sponsor in this meantime,
during the last jam.
including
Yeah, which is great for
Lulu.
team bonding, but not really good for holding back Misty Maven, who again promptly put up 24
That's all the
points. I'm
details I
sorry,
have.
23
28
points.
points.
Well, yeah, no, the
Zero
total
points.
is 28. She's got 27 of the total 28, but she put up 24
Okay,
in that
Right.
last jam.
Right.
Nancy Scarrigan, all
Thank you,
by
Sailor
herself,
Scary.
couldn't
You're
hold
beautiful
back
singing
Misty
voice.
Maven. Shocking.
Well, you know, she got a piece of her. She slowed her down. Sometimes that's a victory in and of itself.
Alex,
And,
As
yeah,
the official review continues
Drama,
here.
how did you not hear that?
so let's
You might
see.
want to get your hearing checked.
The
Probably
skaters,
see a doctor.
the skaters that are out there for Ohio, Safanda Drama,
Too much
who's doing
partying.
some dance moves.
gotta
Safanda
stop
Drama
standing
is
next to
a
the speaker.
3-year Ohio All-Star, but
not
the
an
other
audiologist,
skaters out there on the track
but
are
it
rookies
helps.
as Ohio All-Stars.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Now they're not, they're
Drama
veterans
will be
in their
leading the
respective
twerk-off later.
leagues.
Right.
Just
I
mine.
see Tail Gunner Flo out there. She's wearing a purple jersey. And Grand Central Terminators,
Shut up and get back to
which
the
is
action.
what's on the front of her jersey,
Sorry.
also a purple team, so that's
Jazz Hubbard
convenient.
lining up for Ohio.
Yeah, very helpful for buying the fan gear.
Still
Right.
can't see who that is for New York.
No
Now I
need
have
to buy an
problems
extra
figuring
jersey
that
for
out.
her. Okay, back to the action here.
Yeah, not to.
know,
Hopefully, we can wake you up.
9-8-7.
Jazz Hubbard quickly out of the pack, whatever the
And it is
strategery
Jazz
was.
Hubbard that is through first before turn one.
Nora
That is
also
exactly
out
what
of the
they did
pack
to
at
win
this
the
point,
first bout of
but
the
Jazz
tournament.
Hubbard with about
Let's
a
see if they get some
half-track
momentum
lead as
down
she
to
heads
28 to
into the
13.
pack.
Plenty of time
Angry
left.
Penguin is there to meet her along with 187. That's Morticia Decay. And that was a quick 3 points.
Now I'll let KVD talk. Oh, hello.
It's going to bring us to 16-28, New York leading.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. That's it. I'm out. Bye. Hi to everybody on the
So
stream.
again, one Ohio. In fact, the jam was so quick, Sailor Scary remains
Yeah.
in the box.
Not even 30 seconds to serve her penalty.
Right.
So 2-on-4 in the pack advantage for New York
Believe you
right
can do
now.
better.
Murder Her and Quiet Storm in support of the Jammer Supersonic, and Supersonic again. And now a Jammer act. Oh, there's a penalty, a track cut on Supersonic.
Bad news. So, in fact, Haha Hatchet from New York will pick up lead jam on that.
Yeah, Haha Hatchet is one of the captains for the New York team.
I'm gonna have fun with that name. all
And
night
she is
long.
through once more for another 5.
Hatchets. 5 points.
Hard to hold her back with only 2 blockers out there. Well, they're up to 3, but they're back down to 2.
For New York here, once wants to
Yeah,
increase the spread a little
exactly.
bit.
Hatchet's picking up another 5.
And
Great agility there. She cuts to the inside, goes through almost untouched.
Yeah, we've got a decent view of the whiteboard, but the problem is the numbers are so small we can't really give you who's got penalties, but I can see that one side of the whiteboard has a lot more writing on it than the other side. And I think that speaks to it. Ohio's been in the box, and New York has been very free of penalties.
We had a star stash there that did not go off. Doesn't matter. The jam is called before any points can be scored by Ohio.
But that's 19 points very quickly for Ha Ha Hatchet.
Ohio has already doubled the amount of power jams against them in the first bout of 2.
Ohio right now with 1 in
And
the
they
box
only
to
have
start this
power
off.
jam against them the entire
And
first
yeah,
bout.
definitely
Already 2 here in the
uneven
first 8
penalties
minutes.
happening here, Kent.
Right. And I'm not raising that
And I have
as,
faith they will
a
figure
level of
this out.
conspiracy. I'm saying
No, I'm
Ohio's
not
got to clean up
biased,
their
maybe.
play.
All right, Wheezy lining
All
up
right.
There's
for
the whistle.
Ohio.
We got Wheezy out there for Ohio.
And she's going up against Misty Maven.
Misty Maven, yep.
Bouncing inside,
Hopping
outside,
back and
inside,
forth.
out,
Look at that
getting through the
agility.
back
She's
before
through.
turn 1. She will be lead jammer for New York.
Brazilian Nut gets a
And
big
Young's
piece of
on
Wheezy right there.
forcing
Pulls her all the way to the back.
Behind Brazilian Nut.
Brazilian Nut, a member of Team Brazil, unsurprisingly, also a Gotham skater.
And Misty Maven able to get by Hidden
Misty
Agenda,
Maven
Quiet
gets through
Storm,
for 4
and Kitten
points
Kicker.
for
Wheezy
New
also
York.
gets it through, but this is Maven's
Getting through
third
is
scoring
Wheezy.
pass, if I'm not mistaken. Wheezy coming around for her first.
Wheezy, baby.
Slides to the outside and calls it after 2 points, actually. 2 points on that pass.
So yeah, that was her second scoring pass. It was her third trip around.
let's see, who do we
So that
have
was a
up
total of
next?
6 for Misty Maven after back-to-back double-digit scoring. Well, not quite back-to-back double-digit scoring jams. Oh, and we've got a replay of Brazilian Nut knocking Wheezy out. Good play there by Brazilian Nut.
Yeah.
Ohio's been held scoreless. It was 28-16 just 4 minutes ago. So New York definitely having their way with the Buckeye State skaters at this point.
And doing a great job up there in the front is Ohio shutting down Nora Morse. Nora back to the inside, outside, not enough.
Mary Chaos comes through. This is the first time Mary Chaos has jammed for Ohio, so perhaps they were going with a 3-jammer rotation. Nora is through the pack, but Mary Chaos coming in.
Oh, knocked to the outside and forces her to call it.
And a 0-0, so that's unfortunate for Ohio because Mary Chaos had a fairly good-sized lead headed into the pack.
She did an Angry Penguin using that,
All right, we've got
let's say that
Supersonic
leverage
lining up.
from down below to knock her right to the outside.
So we are at 19 minutes, 48 seconds remaining. You're watching
Of
New York in purple and Ohio in white. The score currently 53-16 in favor of New York, who comes in as the number 2 seed.
And we have a
Coach,
log jam.
Coach Quad Almighty walking into your
Someone's
camera view.
eventually- There we go.
Chopstick Murphy right now jamming for the ladies in purple. That would be New York. She's a Gotham skater.
So sorry, yeah, Supersonic.
Chopstick Murphy that is able to
But it's
scoop
Chopstick
on
Murphy who is
to the
through,
front back
and
put
his
up
lead
a
jam.
jammer From New York, Supersonic getting out though.
Doesn't get a
And
huge
the final
jump on
side, she will
Supersonic,
pick up
who's living up
speed.
to her name. She's
She's
flying right around that track,
fast. Looks like
closing the
a fast speed.
distance.
This- both
Chopstick
teams
Murphy
are
coming around the
very
outside,
fast.
wide
Chopstick
open.
getting through.
Ohio shuts it down, forces her to call it. Looks like she got
1 point Ohio,
1,
2
2.
points New York. So Ohio at least
Yeah,
gets back
well
on board
done.
with that jam from Supersonic. But
So
Chopstick Murphy able to squeak out just
55-17
one more.
as we pass the 19-minute mark. Nobody in the penalty box for either team, so it's an all skate. Jazz Hubbard will be jamming against Misty Maven.
I like that all skate. Is it going to be couple skate later?
It will if there's 2 skaters from each team in the box.
Fair enough.
All
All right, there's the whistle.
And yes, jammers staring at each other.
Some taps.
And an intense attack by Misty Maven up there in the front. She got 3 blockers way out in front, too far in front to continue blocking her. They have to let her go.
Jazz Hubbard escapes the pack. Another Ohio blocker going to the box. That's Kitten Kicker, but it is Misty Maven with 1 to beat. That is Valhalla, and Misty Maven, it gets by Valhalla and calls off the jam as Jazz approaches the pack.
See her looking for the call there, and hands on her hips. Quick 4 points for New York.
Like she was trying to figure out what to do there.
So Misty has scored every time she's jammed. For New York, Haha Hatchet has scored 2 times. Chopstick has scored once. Nora has struggled against Ohio's defense, but Ohio's offense has been held. Ohio has only scored 5 points in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, most of their points were at the very top of the game. Back to the action here. Nora Morse is out of the pack and is lead jammer, although not the jammer in the lead. That forces her to call it.
Wheezy should not be wheezing after that one. If she is, I suggest a lot of endurance drills.
17-59, New York on top right now. And couple skate, I think I called it earlier. Right now, Ohio is going to be doing a little bit of that.
Yep, only 2 blockers out there. That is Slammerhead and Hidden Agenda.
Trying to control the front of that pack there. They have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, and it looks like that is Mary Chaos jamming for Burning River.
That's Haha Hatchet for New York.
Not Burning River, but Ohio. She plays for Burning River.
Yeah, I almost said Haha Hatchet from Ithaca. It happens.
There you go. And she is from Ithaca.
She is. She certainly is.
And she did a nice job. Slammerhead took her down, but I'm sure that Haha Hatchet has already recorded some points with that pass through turn 1, turn 2.
Yeah, able to sort of tiptoe over that apex and get her feet in the legal zone.
Right.
She's through again. That is, yep, there's 5.
5 points for Team New York. 16
Hatchet
left here in the
cuts
first
right
half.
over that apex. Cuts to the inside.
Yep, and passes Mary Chaos. That is the initial pass for Mary Chaos, and Haha Hatchet is recording points.
Oh!
Man.
Hit in the air.
Slammerhead delivered that hit.
She is able to call it off at time. Chopstick Murphy takes a penalty for the New York ladies.
Door closer ever.
So we approach the halfway mark. No, actually we don't. I misread the scoreboard.
Misty Maving lining up against.
We're about
Jazz Hubbard
15 minutes
of
in
Ohio.
at the
69
whistle.
to 17 as we are near the end of the first quarter of this bout.
So yeah, 69 to 17 again. Ohio put up a 12-point power jam, the second jam, and has scored a 5 points since then. And Misty Maven quickly out in front gets lead jam again. Again, Misty Maven has scored every time she's put on the star.
Brazilian Nut and Chopstick Murphy right now sitting out 30 seconds in the penalty box. Could be the Queens of Pain game over there.
So yeah, that's rare that just as you have New York skaters in the box, Jazz Hubbard jamming for Ohio. A very fast-moving pack, Mo.
Spread out all over this track here,
Yep.
Kent.
And now Jazz Hubbard inside the pack getting through, picking up.
See the refs trying to reform that pack, but the pack is very abbreviated right now.
Yeah.
All over the place. 2 New York skaters in the box. Just wow, I know I cannot skate that fast.
Lots of folks coming out of the box
Actually.
trying to rejoin this racing pack right now.
Someone called
Right.
the cops. They're
Misty
breaking the
Maven
speed
looking
limit.
for her way
Jeez.
through it, but she has to catch up with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like she's completed a pass, but again, it took her a long time to do it just because, again, the pack's
Yeah.
moving. Now you see it kind of reform.
Nice whip off of Davey Blockett there. Now she's looking to call it, gets the word, and does.
Picking up a few
4 more points.
4 more for New York.
So yeah, Maven will
21 with 14 minutes
get
remaining.
8 points. I always double check to see if they add points to the total after I give you it. But yeah, so
Yeah.
77 to 17.
Be Nora Morris and Wheezy facing off again.
I'm sorry, Jazz Hubbard able to get 4, so it is 77 to 21.
As the 2
Wheezy is back on the line for Ohio right now. New York is jamming.
Is that Chopstick?
Yeah, it is. Hard to see her sometimes, but Wheezy
Lead jammer.
flies out to the front there. Chopstick Murphy caught up in the dust of another quick-moving pack that actually stops as soon as I say it.
Yeah, Wheezy, a former MVP for the Cincinnati Roller Girls, and has a lot of jamming experience. So she is through and puts. So Ohio will put points on the scoreboard the second jam in a row, which is nice if they're starting to figure out some of their
Oh.
offense.
Chopstick Murphy hops that apex, but a little too late.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never seen it before, that is called an apex jump. It's kind of awesome.
So yeah, 12 minutes, 48 seconds remaining in the first half. New York has led since about the 24-minute mark, thanks to Misty Maven putting up a 24-point jam that flipped the scoreboard in favor of New York, and they have marched out to a what now is 52-point lead.
B52, that's Tail Gunner Flo, a.k.a. Phil, in the box right now.
Oh, so we got kind of a jet thing going on with the jammers. Tail Gunner Flo versus Supersonic. Supersonic very nicely takes the outside line through the front straightaway.
That's just what they need right now. Plenty of time left in this pack. But now is the time to take advantage.
Bouncing back and forth. Haha Hatchet in that pack, cuts to the inside and is through Supersonic right behind her and calls it
off. Great move by Supersonic, closing that gap just a little bit more.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was Haha Hatchet who was jamming.
Yeah, no, I had mentioned Flo is in the box there. I misled you, sir.
I'm bad at roller derby.
Well, you might be bad at skating. I know I am.
Wearing the star for Ohio.
I can almost stop.
Misty Maven wearing it for New York.
But yeah, the good news if you're an Ohio fan is they've scored the last 3 jams in a row. That was after they had been held scoreless for the last 3 jams before that.
Misty Maven back in the mix for New York right now. 2 wall in front of her, pushes them way out in front, pivots out, and she's free.
She spins around, stays on her skates, stays in
Jazz Hubbard comes out of the pack. It looks like it's an all-skate. Both teams with the full complement of blockers, and Misty Maven goes down. Somebody at least got a piece of her to slow her down.
Well, they slowed her down, but good. She went down pretty hard, calling it more or less on her back there.
Still manages to get 3 points. And again, Misty Maven has recorded points every time for New York.
She does tend to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, lining up for Ohio, it's Wheezy against somebody I can't even see.
All right, Wheezy is up there for Ohio right now. Nora Morse for New York.
I wish I was taller.
Again, both teams put out 4 blockers.
The politician, this won't be a problem.
Oh, look at this. Ohio pulls lead jammer. Nora Morse makes it out of the pack, but she's got a lot of real estate to make up, Ken.
Oh, looks like
Right you are, Mochismo, and it's a power jam. I think the first one for Ohio is Nora's being sent to the box. So Wheezy, who's a... and a back block.
Yeah.
Oh, so we've got the jammer in, jammer out rotation in the penalty box. That's horrible if you're an Ohio fan, because they had the ability there with a veteran jammer to put some points on the board. But so this jam's going to run the full 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think they both served less than 10 seconds there. Those were very quick back-to-back penalties. Oh boy, and back-to-back back penalties. As Ohio's jammer hits the box once more.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I saw Nora go down on turn 3, and I was waiting for that call.
Thank you for presenting with me.
Nora now has completed her initial pass. We're still on the initial pass. Well, scoring pass now, I should say.
Yeah. So I think that is at least 4 jammer penalties against Ohio in the first half, and quite frankly, probably more.
Nora Morse pulls a track cut on that one, and it's another jammer switch.
Yeah, Safanda Drama was able to get the track cut right there on the inside. She's waving to the Ohio bench.
I think she was being released just as Nora Morse was hitting the bench anyway, so Nora's going to be in there for her full 30.
Okay. And so yeah, less than 30 seconds left, so Ohio's going to be able to get a power jam start probably at the beginning. Well, no, now Nora's standing. So yeah, Nora might get out right as this jam comes to an end.
Going to be very close.
But Wheezy now trying to get some points, and she's battling the clock as much as she's battling New York. Wheezy able to get 2.
Nora released as the whistle blows for that jam.
And 3 retroactive points picked up for New York by Nora Morse, and a timeout is being called.
That is a victory for Ohio there, 7 points to 3.
Pay attention.
Right you are, Mochismo.
And we have a timeout, team timeout called for Ohio.
All right, so, yeah, again, I think the story is the New York, it's either the New York defense or the New York offense, because from the 24-minute mark to about the 14-minute mark, New York goes on a 65-5 run.
Yeah. Well, Ohio has definitely found a way to score, at least in the last few jams.
Yeah.
Now, whether they're finding holes in the defense there, or, I don't know, a certain degree of adrenaline has kicked in.
Yeah, over the last 6 jams, Ohio actually leads 19-14. But again, you go 65-5.
Well,
That's going to create a bit of a gap. So yeah, perhaps a change in strategy there for the Ohioans. All right, we got the teams lined up ready to go, but the officials are out taping the track, and the refs are now getting into position.
There we go. Little cheer going up for New York there.
All right, we've got Supersonic jamming for Ohio.
And I cannot see around those refs.
We assume New York has fielded a jammer.
Yes. That would be Nora Morse. Ha Hatchet, my mistake. Supersonic around the outside, cuts to the inside, she's through.
One more again.
Ha Hatchet is the lead jammer. Both jammers coming in trying to get points. Ohio with the front wall of white in turn 3. New York with the back wall of purple, also in turn 3.
Hatchet trying to cut through there on the front edge to the outside. She's pulled all the way to the back. Good job of recycling that jammer.
Supersonic gets through and puts 5 points up. No, the thumb comes back down. That is 4, as does Ha Hatchet.
Trading body blows right here.
Right.
And New York scores a single point on that next pass.
1 point picked up for New York on that last pass, none for Supersonic.
5-4. And again, Ohio's doing a good job of, if not dominating, at least giving as good as they're getting right now.
Yeah.
On the Hatchet
But
side,
then New York sends out Misty Maven.
Well, that'll happen.
Jazz Hubbard going up against Misty Maven. Nobody in the penalty box. So again, a full complement of blockers for both teams.
Misty Maven definitely one of the legs of the jammer rotation of the Gotham girls.
Oh yeah. I had the good fortune of being a part of the Omaha announce squad this past year, so I got to see New York qualify for championships last year. Misty Maven trying to get by La Bruja, and she does.
Meanwhile, New York is controlling the back of that pack there, just shutting down the advance. Misty Maven now.
And Jazz Hubbard took off the star to try to get it to her Cincinnati teammate, Kitten Kicker, wearing the pivot stripe.
I don't think she's handed it off yet.
Right.
Stashes the star, breaks to the front, she's going to put it back on. Seen a lot of that so far this weekend.
Yeah, and that may have worked just in the respect that you held Misty Maven to a 4 point. Well, and then she does that.
Yeah.
Can she get bonus points for taking out the ref?
So yeah, the star stash may have worked, but it doesn't stop the inevitable, which is Misty Maven putting up 9 points.
I will say the star stash, just in general, you saw a lot more of it last year than ever before. And this weekend, it was a major factor in the game I called earlier, which was between North Carolina and New Jersey. And the star was stashed on every third play.
Yeah, there you just saw the replay of Misty. And I guess we're going to line it up again. Misty Maven doing the jump. And that was only 4 points for Misty Maven, but she got all 4 right there on that. In the meantime, back to live action. Wheezy, jamming for Ohio, gets lead jam position.
Chopstick Murphy finds her way out of the pack as well, but she's got a half a lap to make up. Wheezy on the outside, thrown to the outside by 0101 Deb Crush. Chopstick Murphy manages to catch up. That forces the call.
I'd like to congratulate the gentleman.
All right, so yeah, now it's 96. So Misty Maven did in fact score 8. My math was correct. The scoreboard was a little slow. So I apologize for misleading you and then misleading you again. But it's what I do.
Supersonic lining up.
You're a politician, sir.
Right you are.
I was going to say something, but I really didn't want to do it.
It's a softball for both you guys.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Supersonic serving Ohio residents well, and she gets lead jam.
Well done. Great block by 303. Hidden Agenda, shutting down HaHa Hatchet's advance. Now HaHa Hatchet knocked to the inside. Supersonic makes her way around. Lethal Lorelei gets a piece of her, pushes her to the inside. Hatchet is through for her initial pass.
Supersonic rotates through the New York defenders and gets 5 or 4. Looking for that thumb. I think it's 5.
Got 5 on that. She had to do it twice, got knocked all the way to the back, had to do it over again.
As we approach the 4-minute mark, it is 96-47. Again, as we've said, New York exploded after trailing briefly, but then Ohio is now matching them point for point. So I think a bit of a strategy change.
Yeah, the last 6 or 7 jams have been essentially equal.
Yeah, last 10 jams.
10 jams.
But then there's Misty Maven.
Misty Maven's through with a quickness, rotating on the inside line, following her out of the pack right there. 135. Maven already made her way around, cuts to the outside.
Oh, yeah, almost a track cut there. So Misty Maven calls it off again. Good Ohio defense, knocking her out just enough to minimize the damage. Jazz Hubbard not able to put any points up for Ohio.
Yeah, she was using flow in that situation to try to pivot around the outside, pivot around the pivot, so to speak. Didn't work. Somebody hit flow, and that sent Maven for a loop.
Wheezy will be jamming for Ohio. 2 Ohio blockers in the penalty box, so a 4-on-2 pack advantage New York. And again, you got to hand it to New York. They have stayed out of the penalty box, and they really got that 65-5 run was due to New York being really strong, but also Ohio being in the box.
And Nora Morris is not lead jammer here, as I initially thought she was. That's going to be Wheezy out in front. And that pack is picking up speed. Wheezy is catching up. Nora Morris breathing down her neck. Wheezy around the outside. Nora Morris is engaged. Oh, huge hit. Knocking Nora Morris to the outside once, twice. Wheezy's out in front and has picked up 4.
Yeah, Quad Almighty telling her to keep skating. Quad obviously can see that Nora was held up in the pack. So Wheezy, who's a tremendous athlete, as so many of these skaters are.
Track cut on Nora Morris.
Wow. So and remember we had this. We had a power jam opportunity with Wheezy that she then gave 2 back blocks and served more time than New York's jammers. So Wheezy trying to make up for that. Pushed out there, but recovers, and that completes a 4-point pass because of a no pass, no penalty.
Right. Blocker followed her out. She's able to re-enter clean, but doesn't get that point. Wheezy's working her way around now, continuing this power jam assault. Ohio breaking up that purple wall in the front there, clearing things out for her. She's through and calls it, but not before Nora Morris returns to the track.
So that's 18 points total. That's the biggest jam for Ohio. And again, to talk about how good the New York defense has been, that's only the second double-digit scoring jam for Ohio. The first one since the second jam of the bout.
There you go. 18 points, though, is a big jump for them. And actually represents a lead in the last, dozen jams, I would say, at this point.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. So we are under the 2-minute mark.
And the box is clean right now.
Chopstick Murphy, we think, jamming for New York.
Yep, that is her. No, I'm sorry, that's HaHa Hatchet.
Like I said, I should just stick to the Ohio players. Mary Chaos is jamming for Ohio. Also out there for Ohio, Hidden Agenda, Safanda Drama, Valhalla, and Nancy Scarrigan. HaHa Hatchet is through.
Star Spangled Banner gets a piece of her. HaHa Hatchet's working her way around now, working on her scoring pass. Cuts to the inside. Great job of staying up on those skates after taking a couple ping pong hits.
Yeah, Mary Chaos is not having any luck against that back line of purple. HaHa Hatchet in the meantime with 5 points so far.
New York loses 1 blocker to the box. Skating 47 sitting out for 30 seconds.
And Ohio is past the star to Safanda Drama. Safanda, who started with Little Steel in Youngstown and is now a Burning River Roller Girl skater in Cleveland, but has been an All-Star, an Ohio All-Star for 3 years.
Star pass is complete.
Who took that star? She's now the jammer.
So 2 New York blockers in the box.
Hatchet calls that one off.
Yeah, I think New York was working on chewing down that clock there. We're going to go into halftime.
You're welcome, Planet Earth.
At 65 to 112, and really Ohio at a 2-to-1 ratio, not doing bad right now.
Anyways, KVD.
Yeah. Ohio's got some can definitely take away some positives from the second half. It'll be interesting if after when we get them on the interview shows, if we say, hey, what did you do at the 14-minute mark? Because that's kind of when it changed.
Yeah, there was a change there for sure.
All right, so we're going to break for the half. For those watching, I do have a guest who's going to come on and talk with us for the duration of halftime. We're going to have Cashman. You can see him walking by right now. Cashman from Rock City. And the Derby Rocks podcast will be on here momentarily.
Well, the cushions, not the seats. I didn't bring the chairs.
All right, so we're at halftime. And joining me from the Derby Rocks podcast is Cashman.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much for having me on.
I'm so excited.
We are excited.
I was telling you earlier, we drove down from Maine. We left at like midnight.
Yeah.
So
It's midnight.
I think I got almost all the way to Connecticut, mostly on your archived shows. There were at least 2 times I thought I should take a picture of a butt, but I didn't do it. Everyone else in the car was sleeping, so I thought I probably shouldn't do that. And then I almost recorded an interview for you.
Oh, I would love to hear. You hashtagged it, of course, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I will hashtag that.
Hashtag interview.
Tell me a little bit about your show.
Well,
what you guys are doing.
We're 4 people who do the show. Basically, I'm an announcer for Rock City Roller Derby out of Rochester. 4 of our skaters, 3 of our skaters are with me. Hader Tot, who's here, actually playing for Team New York, as well as Shock and Audrey and Faraday's Rage, which I'll introduce you to in a little bit.
I'm so excited.
They just got here. They had
Awesome.
a little bit of trouble finding here because they take wrong turns and stuff like that. But nevertheless,
I understand
well, it's because
that.
usually they only turn left.
yeah, apparently.
Couldn't get here with just left
I love
turns.
that. So yeah, they just made it here. But we've been doing it since July of last year, and it was an idea. I've been doing announcing for Rock City Roller Derby for the past 2 years, and one of their PR people said, she and I had this idea. It's like, let's do a Derby podcast. Everyone's doing podcasts, but I would love to do, one that we can talk about our experiences and being on the road and, some funny stories. And then have interviews like, we had Scald Eagle the week after that Portland there, the Rose City there won.
Yeah.
Beat Gotham. Shh, I can't say it too loud.
Don't say it too loud.
Because New York's standing right there.
Some of them are right in front of us.
My partner right there, Hater Top, just pointing the finger at me. But nevertheless, we would try to get some of the influential people on around the country. I thought that there was room for it, and actually, it's a little known secret, but we're going to be on a radio station in Rochester real soon.
Nice.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the station is interested in having us on, so we do. But we have a lot of fun. We do a little bit of our life experiences before we talk about Derby. And of course we talk about any changes in WFTDA or WFTDA.
The rules.
I'm not sure. Is it WFTDA is okay to say that, or is it WFTDA?
I'd prefer to say WFTDA.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the company you're
Yeah.
in.
Well, I mean, now we're doing MRDA too, and so that sounds like MRDA when you say it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. First time somebody said that to me, I'm like, oh, jeez.
Yeah. So we just call it the DA News, which is
The News?
Derby Association.
Yeah, right.
And Shock and Audrey is in charge of stuff like that. But we have a lot of fun, and we all have interesting lives. And I think, and Derby really revolves around a lot of our lives. Everybody, being with skaters who've been with Rochester since day one, which were established in 2008 as a WFTDA official league. And we've grown and we've shrunk and we've grown, and so it's been a learning experience. And for me, being an announcer, I don't always get the ins and outs of things that happen on the track all the time. I mean, honestly, most of the time when you see video footage of it, they're just looking at the jammer and where the jammer's going.
Exactly, right.
But I have like blockers, one jammer and 2 blockers that do the show with me, and they said there's so much more intricacies in the blocking in the pack And it's like, you get to understand the strategies
Yeah,
and stuff like that. And
definitely.
It really opened my eyes to it. I mean, I'm being an announcer. We're talking about the jammer's this person, and they just went by and got 4.
Yeah.
Which that was a fun first half, boy. You guys must have had a lot of fun on that.
Yeah, that was a pretty exciting first
Yeah,
half.
it was. It was a lot of fun seeing my friends out there too.
Yeah,
Because when 4 of us came down, and we're kind of like in a Rochester contingent. There's probably like maybe 11 or 12 of us who all came down, but. I love doing the podcast, and like I said, we're moving to the radio soon. But it'll still be on online as well as on iTunes, and I'm glad that you guys like it. It's always great to get some good feedback, and I've been following you guys since the All 8 last year.
Yep.
And I think that's a lot of fun. And we have we all have a love interest with roller derby. So
yeah, absolutely. It's funny what you mentioned about seeing. Looking at the video from the perspective of a blocker, I've had an opportunity this year to work pretty close with Team Maine, and who's here this weekend, and spent a lot of time at Brackus's, and that was really, and I never had thought about it much, but that was the first time I'd ever been around where the majority of what was being talked about was the blocking and positioning, and it's. We take a jammer and we talk about a jammer who goes out there and does awesome things,
and they score the points.
They score the points, right? So so you're absolutely right. I think if we're gonna give attention to folks, we have to kind of spread the love around a little bit. And what you guys are doing with your podcast is fantastic. I love that you talk a lot about you've got the professional side, where you've got the news, and there's always some rules that get talked about.
And what happened last weekend, over the week, And
then, the everything else kind of a thing that happens. Now, I'm going to pay homage to your show right now. Tell me about how your week went.
That's my favorite part of the show.
And, I love how my week went, because it's like I've taken time off to come down here and enjoy the All-Stars, Battle of the All-Stars, 10 teams from all across the East Coast. This has been so exciting and a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, we had a heck of a drive down from New York last night, and I have a real love for the ladies I work with. We click, and it's like everyone's kind of weird in their own way, like Farrah.
You're all definitely weird.
I've worked in radio since the 80s, and I'm not trying to show my age, okay? But I've been working in radio since the 80s, and I've never come across some of these people like I work with that ever in this business. And I immediately say, if I ever get a morning job, Farrah is my number 2. I mean, because she just has these things that come out of left field and these experiences. And I think
absolutely
a lot of that stuff. But, my week has been great so far. I'm so excited for this weekend. And this will definitely – we're going to actually tape one tonight after we get out of here.
Oh,
we
nice.
did bring swimsuits, and we have a hotel with an indoor swim pool. So we're going to do that first.
Awesome.
And then we're going to sit on a bed, and we're going to just talk about how today went. But it's been so exciting to come down here. I just love the brotherhood and sisterhood of Derby, and how everybody and the people I do the show with are so dedicated to this business for such a long time, for the sport and the love of it. And a lot of people say yes, it's a volunteer thing, and there's a lot, but you know what? If you I fell in love with Derby from the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, it was kind of not real.
Right.
When I was a kid, it was the stuff on Saturday mornings following pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And and so you would see like the game come down to this one little guy at the end who would score the 7 points that would put them in the lead, and the Thunderbirds from Los Angeles would win.
Yeah.
Every
week. Yeah.
But and so that's why, and that's how I met them, because I used to have a pro wrestling talk show that runs on the radio in Rochester. I would have the skaters come up on Derby Day and talk about it. And so, and I said, and they said, no, this is not like it is anymore. And as soon as I came and saw it the first time, I fell in love. So.
All right, well, we're going to go back to the action.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
And hopefully we'll be here tomorrow when New York wins today.
Awesome.
All right, sounds good.
Back up here.
Thank you, guys.
Ohio versus New York, 112 to 65. New York on top of Ohio.
Yeah, it's 12 jams and 12 jams.
All right, we are back to the action here. This is Mo Cheesemo back on the mic.
Hey, Mo.
Joining me here.
I'm here too. So yeah, we looked at the score sheet, and the tail of the first half really is the first 12 jams and the second 12 jams. At the end of the first 12, it's 69-17, and then jams 12 through 24. The Ohio basically matches New York point for point, and actually is leading 48-43 from jam 13 through 24, and very quickly out of the pack. That is number 135, Jazz Hubbard, for Ohio of Cincinnati.
I would point out that she beat Misty Maven out of the pack right now, and she's going to score, and I suspect call it off before Maven can score in return. So there you go.
And that is the first time Misty Maven has not scored in this bout.
So I don't know that we had a chance to talk to the Ohio leadership here, so to speak, but something happened there. Something definitely happened in terms of their strategy.
Yeah, again, when we look back on the score sheet, Ohio with a 48-43 advantage over the final 12 jams of the first half.
We did not look at penalties, though, and I know that Ohio was scoring a few more of those. That's a Ha-Ha Hatchet, followed by Wheezy coming out of that pack wearing the stars.
And both jammers in chase mode. Wheezy right up there. Again, the pack moving fairly quickly. Ohio with a back line. Wheezy scores some points, but gets pushed out.
2 points picked up for New York.
Perhaps
2 for
not.
New York, unreturned, I believe, by Ohio.
0 for Ohio.
Right you are, Mochismo.
A lot of penalties being served right now. It's a 2-on-3 pack. Advantage Ohio.
Supersonic will be wearing the star for Ohio. Quiet Storm and Chopstick Murphy standing in the penalty box. So soon it'll be a 3-on-4 advantage Ohio in the pack.
And I believe that is Nora out there for New York right now. Supersonic, however, living up to her name, flying out of that pack.
Yeah, again, Supersonic was the MVP of the first bout for Ohio. Ohio beat West Virginia at 8 in the morning, 356-60.
Nora Morris has escaped right now. Supersonic on the inside line, takes a hit and calls it. That will be 4 points unreturned for Ohio.
4 points.
Yep, so 73-114.
Slowly but surely, Ohio chipping away at this lead. New York's put out Misty Maven right now to jam and try to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, Misty in a huge slump. Has been held scoreless in the previous jam. She's scoreless in the second half, Mo.
That is one way to spin it. Spun like a politician, sir. However,
look at that. Jazz Hubbard and Misty Maven now in full sprint mode.
Misty Maven puts on the speed there. And I think there's a little mist flying up from her wheels right there. She burns through them coming around that track.
And Misty able to get 2 points even though Jazz had lead jam.
Yeah, snaking those away there, hitting it and quitting it on the outside.
So you see the replay, you saw Jazz get out of the pack, taking an inside line. So it's Ha-Ha Hatchet against somebody from Ohio on the jam stripe. 4-on-4 full complement of blockers. That is Wheezy. That was Quiet Storm who tried to give her an angle coming off the line, and Wheezy now knifing her way through and gets through.
AKT-47 with a late hit there, but still legal. She's through and lead, but not by much. Ha-Ha Hatchet following right behind her. Wheezy loses position as Hatchet comes cutting into the inside.
A forearm penalty is going to send somebody to the box.
2-2 on that jam as New York snakes away 2 points at the last possible second.
So Ohio's gotten, if not all the lead jams, 4 out of 5 of the lead jams coming out of this second half. Supersonic now will be jamming against, that is Nora.
The problem is New York has done a very good job of scoring right back, even in a not lead jam position. Nora Morris got 2 wall in front of her right now.
That's La Bruja and Safanda Drama. And Supersonic actually played some defense and took Nora off her skates, and Supersonic gets lead jam again.
It was a very offensive defense, or
Yeah.
perhaps defensive offense. One way or the other, got her out of the pack
Not
first.
even in Derby, just in life.
And again, you see
Oh.
Nora quickly harvest points, and the New York defense clamps down on the Ohio jammer. So again, Ohio gets lead, but can't turn it into a point advantage.
Yeah. Looks like, I saw 2 penalties called on, it looks like 4-1-1 there. That Safanda drama. Maybe she caused a little drama out there to pick up 2 penalties.
Those of you who have followed Safanda's career know that that's not unusual.
Fair enough.
She's a great skater and skates with a lot of passion, very athletic, but can occasionally become the referee's nightmare.
Well, she's sitting out 60 right now. It's 2009 again for Safanda drama.
And Misty Maven and Jazz Hubbard both jamming, and Jazz is pushed out. Good New York defense at the front of that pack, so Misty Maven with lead jam and a full track length advantage, and that is a grand slam.
Takes a hit from number 30 there. That's Kitten Kicker. Absorbs it and keeps on trucking.
So Misty Maven, wow,
Right up the
quickly.
middle.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Grand slam number 2. It took her all of about 30 seconds to put 10 points on the board, Mo.
Little slower into the pack this time. Ohio gets a piece of her, pulls her back, but good defense by 187. Morticia Decay.
And that is a star pass to Safanda Drama, who got out of the penalty box, and Jazz gave her the star.
So that too late.
Yeah, so that at least ends the run. But that was 12 points there for Misty Maven.
It's okay, I'm from Ohio. I root for them, it's okay, unfortunately.
All right, that's Wheezy coming back out for Ohio right now.
Hatchet going up against
And that's Haha Hatchet. Yep.
So 23 minutes, 12 seconds remaining. New York in purple, 134. Ohio in white, 79.
3-on-3 of the pack. Wheezy makes her way past and is through.
And Haha Hatchet got tripped there in turn, the apex of turn 1, turn 2, and almost. And that is Sailor Scary, one of the captains. That was a captain-on-captain battle at the front of the pack.
She's thrilled about that. I got to say, that was a great job of staying in bounds, taking a hit, and then taking a second hit and hopping on one skate to stay in bounds.
So 4 points there for Wheezy. New York held scoreless. 22 minutes, 22 seconds remaining. Coming up, we've got Philadelphia. I'm sorry, Philadelphia. That's where we are.
Well.
Pennsylvania taking on North Carolina. And then our Game 7 matchup will be Maine versus New Jersey.
All right, the box is clean right now. 4-on-4 in the pack as we start things off.
Supersonic trying to take the inside line that's been so effective. In the meantime, Nora Morse is through and gets lead jam.
Nora Morris, an Ithaca skater there, skating hard for the League of Women Rollers. Coming around the outside. Beautiful grand slam for Nora Morris.
Supersonic pushed out there by Chopstick Murphy. Takes the star cover off her helmet. Tries again. The pivot is Mary Chaos, who's been in the jammer rotation for Ohio. So that is, the star. If the star is passed, but Supersonic just made it through, so that's not going to happen.
Slammerhead pulling Nora Morris back about 30 feet there, totally shutting down her offense on her second pass.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you're taking any
So that was 5. No, that was 8 total. 9 total. I apologize.
Don't forget, use that
Misty Maven versus Jazz Hubbard coming up. Again, nobody in the penalty box. The full complement of blockers for both teams.
We have seen these two against each other time and time again. I think it's the third time just this half.
October, Tango, Alpha.
You don't have to check my work.
Yeah, no, you are correct. The fourth time, but one of those was a star pass. So, yeah. So this is time number 5, and Jazz Hubbard of Cincinnati gets lead jam position. Misty Maven going up against La Bruja, Pain Train, Hidden Agenda, and Safanda Drama in the Ohio pack.
Yeah, all the agility in the world sometimes doesn't help when you have blockers like that just sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
Maven takes a header there, recovers, and that's her initial pass. No?
Yeah, no, there was, she had the hesitation of, did I just get a penalty called against me? In the meantime, 2 Ohio blockers go to the box, and Jazz Hubbard gets 1.
Unreturned by Misty Maven.
And we're gonna demonstrate how to take a selfie right now.
20 minutes remaining in this contest. Again, Ohio in white, New York in purple. 2 Ohio blockers in the penalty box, so a 4-on-2 advantage. That is, I believe, HaHa Hatchet taking on Wheezy.
Advantage of the pack for New York here. Let's see what Hatchet could do with it. Slices to the inside, then to the outside. One left, gets around 92. She's through.
Wheezy splits the pack nicely. Again, considering she only had 2 blockers. Good job by Wheezy. So Wheezy now in chase mode. HaHa Hatchet coming into the pack, gets around the captain kitten kicker. Gets 4 total for New York.
Looked like Ohio is close. I thought they might have picked up 1 at the very end. But no points scored there. 4 points for New York.
New York on a 13-1 run over the last 3 minutes of play, and those jams have been very quick. Those were actually, that's at 4 jams that have occurred in the last 3 minutes.
No remorse, back on the jam line for New York. Looks like an official review for New York right now. We'll see if there's any adjustment to score or time.
Yeah, not sure what the discussion is. And again, we don't. The whiteboard is far enough away that we can't tell you who's got how many penalties, but it definitely seems like, as we can distinguish, that there's more marks on the Ohio side, fairly dramatically, than there is on the New York side.
I get your vision checked.
I don't see any boxes there, so I don't think that anybody is in danger of fouling out just yet.
Yeah, I would agree. Obviously, we still have 19 minutes to go, so plenty of time to still yet foul out.
Please do it again.
Or to play cleanly.
Well, that's always an option, but how fun is that?
Exactly. So it will be supersonic.
And look at that penalty box right now. There's a notable lack of white jerseys out there.
Oh, yeah. No, there's 3 skaters in the penalty box that are wearing white jerseys.
Yeah, 2 of them are standing.
Do you remember the Alamo?
They're all standing. They're all cheering.
Neither do I.
Fair enough. 2 of them are ready to go. I'll put it that way. 2 of them should be standing. As the official review stretches on.
So Supersonic is jammed 3 times in the second half. She scored points on 2 of those.
All right. And, of course, we have more sponsors you can thank, including Apex, Skate Shop.
But, yeah, Supersonic has scored, has only been held scoreless, I think, twice in the whole bout. So she hasn't put up huge jams, but she's been consistent. And we've seen her somehow get that inside line for lead jam sort of time and time again.
Yeah, a couple of times. And she's... consistency here has definitely been Ohio's friend. They've been able to put up a few points in each jam, although they did just come off a scoreless streak there.
I assume the door goes both
Yeah,
ways.
they're, at halftime, just since we're looking at the score right now, at halftime it was 112-65. So New York is winning the second half so far, 35
Supersonic, the
to,
representative
what,
of Ohio.
29.
29.
So they're not winning by much.
Yeah, again,
Because now
somewhere,
Five Stars is out there, too.
and again, the 65-5 run, which we've talked about, is what has gotten New York to the advantage that they currently hold.
In the penalty box.
But, how many points are they going to score if they only have 1 blocker?
And they're just going to dance.
Well, there is that.
Like Lady Gaga just said,
That's a big
just
blocker to
dance.
pass.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's a lot you can talk about in terms of strategy here. It's possible coming out so strong that New York is holding back a little bit right now as things get closer. Who knows if they'll turn up the intensity. That said, I don't want to discount what Ohio's doing out there right now because they have really turned up the juice underneath New York right now.
And I wonder if New York has changed their strategy also, because again, when we've seen, because the other thing we've seen is Ohio's gotten lead jam a lot in the second half,
Yeah.
but they haven't been turning that into points. And I wonder if New York has changed their strategy of we're going to concentrate on just keeping Ohio off the scoreboard.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of teams that concentrate on defense in a way that, I'm thinking of your mom roller derby, a men's roller derby team that is just so dominant and is able to concentrate on defense in a way that they don't need to worry about offense. I don't know that that's what's happening here.
Chopstick Murphy will be wearing the star for New York. She has 3 blockers in support of her. Supersonic has 1 blocker. It is Quiet Storm. Quiet Storm is retreated all the way to the pivot line. And she at least got a piece of Chopstick Murphy.
Yeah. Chopstick Murphy, however, is through with a quickness. Now there are reinforcements coming from the penalty box here, Kent.
Yep. 3-on-3 pack now. Supersonic will get through because in part to the 20-foot no contact rule. But yeah, Chopstick, a penalty, a forearm. Yeah. Is it a forearm? Yep, it is a forearm. So Supersonic, who only had 1 blocker at the beginning of the jam, now has a power jam opportunity, and this jam will run the full 2 minutes, and there are Supersonic with her initial grand slam.
And that's the first grand slam she's going to be picking up, but probably not the last here. She's coming up on this pack, cuts to the inside, 4-wall in front of her. She goes down pretty hard.
Yeah, and now Ohio with some offensive blocking. They surround and try to give Supersonic a bit of a wedge.
Cristeria, tail gunner Flo sitting in front of her, but she finds her way around. That's going to be another grand slam as Nora Remorse comes out of the box.
Yeah, Sailor Scary goes to the box, so only 3 blockers for Ohio.
And that is 4 points for Nora Remorse. That is a scoring pass for her.
Supersonic with a 4 or 5. I'm waiting. I can't see if there's a thumb there or not. A 4, so she's got 14.
I think that's a low block on Nora Morse.
Holy cow.
Came over that apex, came down hard, went low, and took out a blocker.
And Supersonic is going to help Ohio top over the 100-point mark. She's got 21 points so far. Again, Supersonic is a Gem City skater. And if you look down the WFTDA rankings, you're going to see Gem City probably in the 120s.
Okay.
But she's been a 3-year Ohio All-Star. And this is what's great about the Battle of the All-Star tournament, is you've got one of the significant talents from a small league in Ohio going up against Gotham skaters.
Absolutely.
And doing really well.
And it's interesting, too. You have teams that practice together so hard. I've seen Gotham skaters together many times, of course, and you divorce them from that team context, and it could be a very different story of how they skate, how they look. And these coalition teams that haven't had the opportunity to practice together too often, sometimes their strategies are, let's say, in development as they play.
Right. Jazz Hubbard of Ohio gets out and is lead jam. And, of course, it's a power jam start.
Not for long.
Right. Supersonic, by the way, 21 points in that last jam.
Great job for Ohio here. They're definitely winning the second half so far.
Yeah, out there in the pack, Slammer had Nancy Scarrigan murder her and the captain Kitten kicker in support of Jazz Hubbard. Jazz Hubbard, a Cincinnati roller girl.
Brazilian Nut was just hit after hit there on Jazz. Pulled her to the back. Oh, Jazz finds her way out of that pack, though. Takes the inside track. That's a grand slam.
Jazz has lead jam. New York has passed the star to their pivot escape advantage as Wheezy and HaHa Hatchet escape the pack at the same time. But HaHa Hatchet of New York is lead jammer.
Yeah, she's got about a 10-foot lead, but now she is falling behind as Wheezy engages her, slows her up, forces her to call it, and that's goose eggs.
For that, I'd be careful, they might go burn a car.
We are under the 15-minute mark in the second half of this game.
Yeah, that was scoreless. Again, only 42 points separate these two teams.
The score of 152 to 110, the gap is closing.
Certainly not insurmountable for Ohio here. If they have indeed found the key to scoring against this team, they are working on it.
Nobody in the penalty box for either team. Supersonic jamming against... Who's jamming for New York?
That's
Chopstick
Murphy. Chopstick on the outside. Pain Train just keeps hitting her, but Chopstick Murphy keeps it together and gets around.
Pain Train is the other Gem City skater. Maven, I haven't really heard of her. All-Stars from Dayton with the current Ohio Jammer Supersonic. Chopstick Murphy spins out there in turn 2 and calls off the jam. Supersonic able to get more
Gets
points.
in there, yeah.
I think it is a 4-3 jam. Conversation going on with the referees off camera, but it's going on currently, and no points.
Murphy came around that turn really wide, trying for an evasive maneuver. But this floor, well, it's a little more slippery than the sport court that New York is used to skating on.
All right, so the referee initially indicated 4 points for Supersonic. After the conversation, those points came off the board. So Chopstick Murphy gets 3, and that is a 3-0 jam, advantage New York.
It's a big difference. Back to the action here. Ohio is picking up lead jam, and Misty Maven follows her out of the pack about half a lap behind.
Yeah, so Jazz Hubbard, and again you see Ohio taking the back line, and Jazz Hubbard, it looks like she's going to harvest a few points, maybe 2. We'll see what and again, another referee discussion to see where hips were.
Yeah, Maven shot into that pack. Doesn't look like she got in there in time.
And 0 given to Jazz.
Oof.
That's unfortunate.
That's one way to put it.
All right, so Wheezy versus Ha-Ha Hatchet. At least that's what we think.
Yep, that's definitely her. That hockey helmet under that helmet cover there.
4-3 advantage in the pack for the Ohios, who are wearing white because the state is covered with snow.
The Empires are wearing purple because I don't know what that means. There's a 4-wall just sitting in front of Hatchet right now.
Yeah.
She keeps testing it, skating back and forth, and they are not giving an inch. There you go. Finds the outside track, and she's through for lead. 3
of those defenders in working that 4-wall are all from Burning River. Those are the 3 Burning River skaters. Now Wheezy comes around the pack. That's her initial pass. So yeah, the defenders are Mary Chaos, Valhalla, Hidden Agenda, and Safanda Drama.
And Hatchet there tried for the apex jump, got hit, able to keep it together on the inside, goes back to re-engage. She scored 3 points. She scored those 3 points about 3 times, but you only get them once.
So yeah, Ohio's been held scoreless over the last 4 jams, but during that time, New York's only scored 6 points.
Yeah, very defensive game right now. Both of these teams seem to be concentrating very much on the other jammer, less on getting their own jammer through. And a timeout credited to Ohio.
And it's gone. It will be eventually Jazz Hubbard and Misty
So it looks like it'll be
but this time
Jazz Hubbard versus Misty Maven once we come back.
Again and again, these two.
Yep.
And I got to give Jazz Hubbard a lot of credit here. She has gotten as many leads over Misty, at least the second half, as Maven's gotten over her. It's been pretty even.
Get your food. It's not a conspiracy, but it is a conspiracy. I'm confused too.
110 to 158. New York has not pulled ahead at all. That was approximately the differential at the half.
Yeah, Ohio winning the second half so far, if my math is correct, and there's no reason to believe that it is correct. But 55 to 46, advantage Ohio in the second half. But of course, it is the total on the scoreboard that matters. The winner will play Maryland tomorrow at 4 p.m. The loser will play the loser of North Carolina versus Pennsylvania at sometime at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
But I'd highly recommend you do.
North Carolina versus Pennsylvania coming up after this. I am Kent Smith, a.k.a. Kent the Politician, joined on the mic by Mo Chismo. Happy to bring you the New York versus Ohio battle and Battle of the All-Stars 3.
Because we have mics, so we can say that.
Misty Maven currently taking on Jazz Hubbard.
Oh, look at that.
She is good.
Yeah, when you can take a hit like that and it looks like she didn't feel it. Quiet Storm slams into her.
Yeah.
Misty trying to get the pack moving there. They pick up some speed.
Yeah, and again, the advantage is Jazz Hubbard got through also. So, you know, if Misty's able to harvest some points, Jazz Hubbard will likely minimize the damage.
Look at this speed here, Kent.
Yeah. And again, Ohio with as many blockers in the penalty box. So Misty's gotten credit for that because she passed one blocker, and Quiet Storm gets a penalty there at the end.
Did you catch that penalty? That looked like a clean hit to me.
I think it was just that she was out of the engagement zone.
Oh, that could be it.
But that's a good jam for Misty. Again, New York, neither team has scored a lot of points over the last 4 jams.
Well, New York right now is a fresher team. They haven't skated another bout today, so maybe they are relying on that.
That's a good
Try
point.
to pick up the pace, try to wear down the other team.
Supersonic played in the first jam, first game. Ha Hatchet quickly out in front and gets lead jam. Wheezy, however, was not rostered in the first game. So
that's an important point.
Yeah, but the other 2 jammers that are in heavy rotation, that was a great move.
Wow.
And I think we've got
conservation of angular momentum there as Ha Hatchet spins her way around the outside.
Now under 9.5 minutes.
A lot of repeated digits up there, 111 to 166.
It's a lot of the same number up there.
And that's just under 10 minutes left to go to play. If Ohio's going to make a move, they need to make it. The differential has not shifted very much this second half, but of course there's still the differential.
Yeah, and again, we wonder as we pass the 9-minute mark if penalties will come in, because again, we can't give you exact of who's got what, but the Ohio side of the penalty board has many more marks in it than the New York side. Misty Maven has been adding marks to the scoreboard, and she has lead jam and jumps the apex right there. But in the midst of that, Wheezy got out. So, and will she jump it again?
Yes,
she does.
Jumps it and calls it. I'm thinking here, in whiff to play, score differentials are very important because they affect your ranking, depending on, how not just a win, but how much you won by. In a situation like this, at a tournament like this that's not being credited towards rankings like that, you don't necessarily have to push yourself to punish the other team in quite the same way.
Yeah.
So a win is a win. A domination doesn't get you anything more. So it's possible New York is leaving a little gas in the tank, let's say.
Yeah, they may have skaters joining them. Just as I look at their roster, that they've got some folks that might be joining them in later in the weekend. Jazz Hubbard through for Ohio. Nora held up in the front of the pack that was La Bruja from Cincinnati. Jazz now scoring points for Ohio. Pushed out there on the outside, taking off her skates, calls off the jam, and gets 2 or 3. 2.
Unreturned 3 points. Thumb is in there. Unreturned by New York. 7.5 left to go. It'll be 7 at the whistle.
A few power jams go their way, and we could be looking at a lead change, but they need to get things going there. I've seen it happen before. I think many of us have.
3-on-3 in the pack right now, Ken.
Let's be honest.
Right to Armo. The pivot stripe comes off one of the New York blockers. Supersonic and Ha Hatchet. Ha Hatchet trying to go right through the center, and she does. Pain Train was chasing her, and it's good that she didn't engage because she would have got the out of play penalty.
Yeah, I don't know if she took her knee there to make sure she didn't engage, but
Pain Train leveled a hit on Davey Blockett to get Supersonic through. And Pain Train is going to the penalty box, perhaps as a result of the hit.
Yeah, I will say this much: when you hit Davey Blockett that hard, and she moves, that's a pretty solid hit one way or the other. Davey just skated by, holding her hip there. She's feeling it.
And an official's timeout of some sort.
If you were wondering how to use double arm bells,
Now I'm trying to see that penalty board over there, and I do see there might be a couple of people very
we're
close.
talking about sponsor. I don't know who yet. We're about to find out.
Pain Train and Phil are sitting over there in the box right now. Official review.
Can we all try something? Can we all take a selfie?
Not
all
official
at
review.
once?
So a
And post it
difference
on
of
Facebook.
63
timeout.
points
Try to crash it.
at the
You guys
moment.
want to try that?
6 minutes, 20 seconds remaining.
Epic selfie.
Again,
We can put
Misty
the Oscars
Maven
to
wearing
shame.
the star, Wheezy wearing the star
can
once
make the world
these
shake.
teams come out of the official
Okay.
timeout.
Clearly, there's
63 is the biggest differential we've seen so far this half, if I'm not mistaken.
Virginia is now officially the coolest state in the union.
I believe you are correct.
That's right, represent.
Looks like they are perusing that penalty board right now.
It seems like they're looking at the New York side of things, though,
It does.
which is surprising to me.
Yeah, I definitely see a couple of long Ohio strings over there.
Yeah.
But no, some penalties are definitely being added to the New York side.
Yeah. Again, that is why we have officials to keep track of points, penalties, and time remaining.
It's not just it's just not a game without officials. It's more just of a
It's more of a scrimmage
right.
in front of a crowd. It's being streamed to the internet universe.
That's right.
Be like a Congress without a congressman.
That'd be awful. Or
Without parliamentary procedure, my God.
or extremely efficient. I'm not sure which. By the way, okay, good. We're playing roller derby. I
Yeah.
don't have to go into any more of that.
Just as well. It was hard to tell we were playing roller derby for a second there. Another slow scrum start.
Wheezy, and a track cut on Wheezy.
Yeah.
Oh.
She knew it as she came out. I saw her look, and then she realized that the ref looked too. So,
Darn it. Misty Maven gets lead jam.
and that discipline there, she's looking to that bench for what she should be doing. New York is such a hive mind, of course, is their slogan, I guess we could call it.
Yeah, Lethal Lorelei delivered a strong hit against the Ohio captain, Kitten Kicker. Kitten Kicker up and skating, but not able to hold back Misty Maven as Misty puts a grand slam on the scoreboard for New York.
Yeah, she runs into that white wall, gets bounced around a little bit. Not enough to stop her. And now is through again.
So 15 points so far for Misty Maven, who looked at the scoreboard this time, probably to check the jam clock, which is about at 45 seconds.
She's getting the word to keep on going right now.
Well, I mean, Misty Maven's been the most effective jammer for New York, so you can't fault that strategy. And a star pass
There we go.
to Pain Train.
Who gets lapped by Misty Maven. That should be a 5th point. Maybe not.
Misty Maven now playing defense against Pain Train as they come around turn 4 into the front straightaway.
Takes her out and continues on her way. Pain Train not down for long. Catches back up and gets in front of Maven. No points scored. I guess it was all white jerseys in the back there. A strategy they have been sticking to for a good chunk of this game.
And that pushes New York to the bicentennial mark of 200. So that was a 23-point jam for Misty Maven. So again, all the talk of Ohio sticking with them, while it was true, then Misty Maven comes out and puts up 23 on you.
Yeah, opens up the accelerator a little bit.
And this is a team that everybody should be watching out for.
So the difference now, 86 points. And Nora Morse gets lead jam. Jamming for Ohio is Jazz Hubbard.
Nora Morse cuts to the inside, takes the long way around that second turn. She's through for 5.
Yeah, nice job.
Wait for it. 5 points for New York.
Jazz having a little trouble on that outside turn there. It looks like she was getting ready to pass the star.
Yeah, again, wearing the pivot for Ohio is Mary Chaos, who is one of the jammers for Burning River and also for the Ohio All-Stars.
Nora Morse is headed to the box. Track cut on Nora Morse.
So it'll be a 2-minute jam. We are at the 1-minute 10-second mark on the jam clock. And the star is passed to Mary Chaos. Mary Chaos is got about twice as much jamming experience than Jazz Hubbard, but Mary can play in the pack as well. And again, that's why you put the pivot stripe on a player like Mary Chaos.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, she's in a little bit of trouble now. Brazilian Nut puts her down on the inside line. Chopstick Murphy organizing the defense up there.
Yeah, now the Ohio reinforcements show up in Nancy Skerrigan, Hidden Agenda, and La Bruja to try to get...
Trying to bust that up. Hatchet, Murphy up there in the front.
Yeah, La Bruja right there as the active defender for Ohio. Got a back line
They're
of white.
way out in front right now. Interesting. They brought her forward. They brought the rest of the pack forward.
And again, good defense by Brazilian not to push Mary Chaos out, and you see the pack recycle, and Ohio not able to hold them back. So again, Mary Chaos is athletic enough and has enough derby experience. She's not going to lose her mind in this case. She knows that this is just a really tough fight. But yeah. It's but not great.
Oh.
Now under 2 minutes, 2:05 to 1:14. New York on top of Ohio.
Quad really running to the middle there, making sure that they caught that timeout.
Yes,
I think
he did.
wanted to get it over the 2-minute mark to make it a little easier for extra jams here, but clock stops at 1:57. They're adding a couple seconds.
So even with the power jam that Ohio had, New York outscores Ohio 8-3 on that jam.
Yeah.
Just really good. A real good penalty kill there by the New York skaters.
Yeah, you see them coalesce around that jammer there, not letting them through in any way, shape, or form.
And it seemed like Ohio kind of switched strategies a few times during the power jam, passive defense or passive offense and then active offense.
Yeah, they flew forward, tried to break things up, then they fell back again, and were in danger of coming out of play. Forced them back forward once more. All right. Just over 2 minutes left to play.
And we've got Davey Blockett jamming for New York against Supersonic. So New York going into a bit of a victory formation.
Perhaps so. Davey Blockett, however, no slouch. She does occasionally jam back at home for the Bronx, if I'm not mistaken.
I think with 2 minutes left to play, Supersonic again. Supersonic was the MVP for Ohio in the first jam against West Virginia. And there could have been any number of MVPs, and Supersonic making a case for her now. Really good defense there against her.
Star Spangled Banner getting a big piece of her there.
I did enjoy the dance, though. It was fantastic.
Davey Blockett not finding her way out of that pack.
Supersonic with 5 points, I believe. Yes, the thumb is extended. Davey now out of the pack. 1 minute, 21 seconds remaining. Well, the jam clock and period clock almost in perfect sync.
Davey slides out around that second turn, able to re-enter. No pass, no penalty, but, I'm sorry. Track cut. I'm not sure if they changed the call on me midway or I just saw it wrong.
Okay, so this will be interesting. Supersonic, if she calls off the jam, because you've got a power jam now, so is Supersonic going to run the clock? Looks like they're going to run the clock.
Yeah. Looks like she's taking her time there. Maybe she's just tired.
Which could be. This is second second bout of the day for Supersonic, and she was in the jam rotation heavily.
Very much so.
In the first jam.
She calls it off.
All right, so she called it off with the jammer standing. So that'll get Ohio at least, obviously, one more jam.
And, also good strategy. Davey Blockett, obviously not one of the standard rotation jammers there.
This is the final jam of this bout. Both teams fighting
so that was 14 points there for Supersonic. Davey was able to get 4. Or there was an extra 4 points awarded to Nora, and I just didn't catch it on my score sheet.
Such things happen. Back to the action in the last jam of a game that has been a lot of fun to watch. Wheezy's through, lead jammer.
Yep.
Davey is released.
And who's wearing the pivot stripe for New York? A skater named Misty Maven.
Oh, that girl.
So we'll see if New York tries to pass the star. Wheezy is through and is recording points. She's got 5 so far, so Ohio will...
Back block on Davey Blockett.
All right, so this will obviously help Ohio's final total.
They've already picked up 5. Already picked up 10.
New York had pushed it out to a 91-point lead just 2 jams ago. Supersonic puts up 14, and Wheezy has 15 so far. So a strong showing for Ohio.
Yeah, working on a 20-point jam here. This will be their biggest jam of the game. She works her way around the outside. She's through for another 5. That will be 20 points.
So they're finishing this out. So really closing in on this last jam.
Yeah, I'm looking back over the scoreboard to see if 20 points would be the biggest Ohio jam.
Stranger things have happened.
I think they got 14 at one point.
Yeah, I think you're correct. So Wheezy brings the jam and the bout to an end.
So, let's hear it for both teams, ladies and gentlemen. Come on down the track.
And a solid showing for Ohio there as they come in with a 20-point jam to close this out.
24.
Unofficial final, 158 to 212. That's, of course, the Manhattan area code, 212.
And that was also the closest bout of the day.
Is that right?
Yeah, the only bout that didn't have at least a 100-point difference.
All right, well.
Between the two scores. Between the two teams, rather. So, yeah, again, I'm curious to see who the MVPs go to. Not sure if the house announcer is going to decide that themselves or whether or not they're going to come over here and talk to us. I certainly think there was, again, this brand new skater named Maven.
Yeah,
she seemed to do a really good job for the New Yorks.
She had a couple of moves out there.
Yeah.
Over on the Ohio side, some great jamming, but there was some solid defense happening there, too.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Friendship ring of trust.
All right, so again, coming up, so that means Ohio will play at 10 in the morning tomorrow, and they will take on the loser of North Carolina versus Pennsylvania, which is the bout that is coming up. North Carolina came in as the number 8 seed. Ohio came in as the number 7 seed. Pennsylvania and New York, obviously, the number 1 and number 2.
All right, New York taking their victory lap here, folks. We're going to see them back tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Virginia, the only team to pull an upset so far, as they were the number 5 seed and they knocked off Massachusetts by 165 points.
Yeah, solid showing there. All right, folks, it's been great talking at you here. This is Mo Cheesemo signing off.
And Kent the Politician.
I almost got that.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll see you all in a half an hour.